Sorry about that. It's a little technical there. Okay. So, as everybody knows, Kappa Alpha Psi has four core programs that we ask that every chapter implement, that being college prep, STEM, college success, positive video reporting, and tonight we're going to talk about STEM. So, for our STEM program, we're asking all chapters to select at least one of the following activities. And we're going to talk about our Microsoft retail stores that offers free STEM training, a NSBE Jr program. We're going to hear about code.org. We encourage chapters to participate in STEM career fairs. That's my contact information, and we'll share that again later. So right now, we started back in October when we celebrated National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And that was pretty much a program, it's a partnership that we started with, became a partner with Department of Homeland Security, Cyber Infrastructure Division. And this year's theme was Own It, Secure It, Protect It. We handed out a series of videos and handouts all through the month of October. So we also have recorded a webinar. There's a welcome package or a toolkit, as they call it, that's available. And so we'll get a chance to really push that out next year. The themes, the hashtags were cyber aware, stop, think, connect, along with the Kappa STEM. This week, the reason why we're doing this webinar tonight is National Cybersecurity Careers Awareness Week, and that goes to this Friday. So that's why we're here this evening to talk about the different activities with STEM that we want to push, promote to our Kappa Leagues and Guide Right students, and we're going to talk about the careers that are available. So going to move to there. Actually, last week was National STEM Day. That was on a Friday. We wanted to try to maybe coordinate this, but that was on a Friday, so we decided to move it over to this week and just call it Kappa STEM Day. And so, but there is a National STEM Day that's celebrated each year. So right now, I'm going to turn the presentation over. Well, I'll turn the slides for him, but Brother Terrance Ray Campbell is going to talk about code.org and some of the opportunities there. So, Brother Campbell, you ready?
I am ready. So
All
as
right.
we know, can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you fine.
Okay. So computers and software are changing everything. I mean, next slide. Press it one more time.
Okay, did it not catch up?
Yeah, no, but you got to press it one more time. There you go. Mm-hmm. And as we know, technology, whether it's low tech in the form of just processes and procedures, all the way to smartphones, smart cars, and smart houses, are affecting every field. Next slide. One more slide. Boom. So just like students are, there you go. Just like students are learning about photosynthesis, digestive systems, and electricity, they definitely need to be learning more about algorithms, apps, and how all that works with the internet. Next slide. Steve Jobs. The importance of not just this particular quote, but the first $1 trillion company the world has ever known, Apple. Next slide. So every industry is desperate to try to find computer programmers everywhere. Silicon Valley is trying to be replicated everywhere. Next slide. And just a real quick visual of earnings with regard to computer science education over a person's lifetime. Next slide. Press one more time.
Gotcha.
And just a quick, this slide is just a quick visual of just how many jobs are out there with respect to computing. And again, computing is computer science. Next slide. Just a quick snapshot in terms of those 500,000 jobs. Just looking at some of the cybersecurity certifications with, IT certifications with respect to averages. And I want to make sure that you know that those are average salaries. Next slide. Next slide, Brother Harrison.
Yep. It's got a little bit of a delay here. Hang on.
Oh, okay. I know if I said it loud enough.
Yep, we're good. Sorry about that.
Right. So the very interesting thing that folks aren't talking about today is that the problem is about science, technology, and math, but let's really look at the linkages between STEM and computer science. Next slide. And then as it says on the left, 58% of all new jobs in STEM are computing jobs, but only 10% of STEM graduates are in computer science. So we've got great opportunity to change that dynamic in terms of when we talk about diversity and inclusion. We definitely have a great opportunity with respect to that. Next slide. And so just really quick in terms of the gross revenue that computer science in the form of animation and gaming. So Lego made about 2.5 billion last year. Call of Duty, in terms of both of the games, made a combined 1.1 billion. Xbox Online or Xbox Live made about 8.5 billion, and PlayStation Online or PlayStation Live made about 12.5 billion. And all of that is straight income after all expenses paid, everything. So not just in terms of jobs in cybersecurity, computer science, a juggernaut in terms of our economy as it relates to video gaming and animation as well. So what does that all lead up to? Next slide.
Mm-hmm.
So Computer Science Education Week is December 9th through the 15th. And so there are tons of different activities going on that individuals will be able to engage in. We'll definitely make sure that we push some things out to let you guys know. And then the next slide is that we're working, I am having conversations right now with Brother Harrison in terms of having a day-long series of hours of code, which will include video game development and some cybersecurity education on January 11th next year in DC, in the DC area. And next slide, and I'm done.
All right. Thank you, Brother Campbell. If we have any questions, please put the questions in the chat box. I'm sharing my screen, so it's falling. The questions pane is falling to the background, so I won't see questions that have been asked. But if you put a question in the chat box, then I will be able to see that. Also, you'll see in the handout section, we've got 3 handouts. We've got this presentation. We've got a presentation from code.org, which will really deep dive into what that program is all about. And so if you look in the handout section, you will see that as well. So the next thing we want to talk about is our Microsoft partnership. We've been doing this for several years. You can see a web link there for the Blacks at Microsoft. Those are employees who engage with the community. So each year, one of the activities is Minority Student Day, and that's for high school students. It's a learning opportunity. You'll go on site to one of the Microsoft offices, and they'll go through a series of activities. In the past, you can see the different cities where they've had these events. In Redmond, Washington, obviously that's their headquarters. In Atlanta, Charlotte, Columbus, New York. I've attended the program here in DC. Las Colinas was outside of Dallas, Philadelphia, Detroit, Chicago. So as soon as they announce the dates and locations for 2020, I will share those with everybody and hope that you get a chance to take advantage of Minority Student Day. Okay, so also, as you know, we've got the partnership with the Microsoft stores. So the way that works, what I've done with this slide is giving you the link to go and locate the stores. So for example, we put in Atlanta, Georgia, and they've listed two Microsoft store locations, one in Lenox Square Mall and Perimeter Mall. These are just examples. So when you go to the site, you can just put in your city, and then you'll be able to see which workshops that they're having for the students, which days they're available, typically on Saturdays and Sundays. And you'll be able to go in and take your guide right students or Kappa Leaguers in, and they'll take you through. They even do their own versions of an hour code or Youth Spark. There's a lot of different activities. So if you click on that particular link, and again, that is in the handout section, and we'll get that out as well. But you'll be able to see what type of in your area, and it's not in every city. Again, it's in a lot of cities. You may have to travel a little bit. I know in our area in Northern Virginia, we got the Tyson's Corner location, and we got the Pentagon City Mall in Arlington. So you'll get a chance to go out there and do a search for your community and see what locations are available for you. And again, we've got an hour-long presentation with several of the key players and Blacks in Microsoft and their executives that really breaks down all the activities you have available with Microsoft. All right, moving right along. We want to talk a little bit about the NSBE Jr program. We've been doing this for the last, I guess, coming up on 5 years. And so our partnership with the National Society of Black Engineers really is an mission to engage students in science and engineering, focusing on hands-on activities that build exposure to STEM. The partnership goal is to increase the number of African-American bachelor's degree recipients in engineering from 10,000 annually by 2025. That is the NSBE mission, and together we're working to build that pipeline for the next generation of STEM workforce. That's why we're trying to get as many of our guide right students involved as early as possible with STEM and NSBE Jr, which is only $5 a year annually for membership. So again, so what we've done, there's different options to get involved. We've got regional setup so that if you don't want to establish your own chapter, or you don't join in with another chapter in your area, or you don't have one in your area, we can kind of pull you into NSBE Jr on a regional basis. Our goal is to enroll 1,000 students by 2020 this year. Again, this is a K through 12. NSBE is a just very similar to Kappa Alpha Psi, is an undergraduate run organization, and Kappa Alpha Psi obviously was founded as an undergraduate organization. The signups begin in August, and this gives you an opportunity to leverage local companies, engineers. I know my company, Northrop Grumman, partners with NSBE Jr and the SEEK program every year, every summer. Alumni chapters. It's a great way to interact with our collegiate chapters in Kappa Alpha Psi, and then the NSBE Connect program. And again, we've got several hour-long webinars that really deep dive into the NSBE Junior programs and activities that are available for you. So this is a summary. The reason why I kind of have Trimathlon highlighted in red, I've had the opportunity to participate in their Stimulating Young Minds Institute, where I did a week of training on all their programs: Lego, Vex Robotics, Kidwin, Explorers, T-Mall, the works, 1080 Racing, and judge those competitions. And one that kind of stood out to me with Trimathlon, those are math competitions, and they break them down into 9th and 10th grade, 11th and 12th grade. And this is to strengthen the math skills. These are all type questions that they'll receive when they do SATs or ACTs. So this is information that they're going to have to learn anyway. So what better way than to work with a group of students in a competition setting to really get a good, strong feel for math. And I think that's something that, as far as our guide right chapters, that's something that you can very easily institute in your program. You know, the Lego robotics and Vex robotics, those are programs that, you know, really take a lot of practice and time and dedication. And we definitely have students that are excelling in those programs. But again, we'll get deeper dive into some of the options available for you. Now, of course, I know we have some parents on the line. So as far as Kappa Alpha Psi, you know, we have the 12 provinces, and this kind of breaks out the way our Kappa Alpha Psi map looks. Now, the NSBE regional map is a bit different, but you can see there are 6 regions. So depending on where you live, you may be I live in region 2. I believe, Brother Campbell, you down in region 3. I don't see, trying to see if I recognize some more names on the line. It may be from different regions, but anyway, that's how we kind of have it broken out, and that's the way the NSBE regional map looks. So the key events, and right now we're in the fall. So right now they're going, and I've got a schedule on another slide. They're going through the fall regional conferences, and this is usually, you know, you're going to bring about 1,000, between 1,000 people in each of these locations. You got your pre-college, you got your collegians, you got your professionals, you got your NSBE juniors, and companies, and science fairs, competition, group projects, and they have these in selected cities each year across those 6 regions that we just looked at. The NSBE National Convention is held annually in different locations. That's where these competitions that they practice for, like I talked about the math program, there's keynote speakers, banquets, luncheons, entertainment. It's probably one of the biggest job fair slash corporate company where they bring out all the displays and all their products and their recruitments in the country. It's probably one of the biggest. I know, for example, a lot of the top defense contractors make this one of their key recruitment tools or recruitment activities every year, particularly for minority students. So if you have a college student that's looking to get into engineering, science, math, it would behoove them to make their way to the NSBE National Convention, because that's where a lot of these companies have targets. I guess I want to call it hiring targets that they want to reach, and a lot of them are filled right at the NSBE National Convention. Then last but not least, we got the SEEK program. That's a summer engineering experience for kids. Those are for students below 12 years of age, usually 3rd grade to the 5th grade. These are free camps, 2-week camps. And again, these are in select cities across the country. What we've done with NSBE is they've agreed to give us a certain amount of slots for our students to participate. So these announcements of the cities usually happen right around the first of the year, and probably by that second day, all the slots are filled. People are waiting to get in these because you know just as much as I do what just a week of daycare is. Now imagine, you know, being exposed to programs with NSBE Jr. I know they had a drone competition, and these are girls, young men. Depends on where the location is. Depends on what their target audience is. So when those cities are announced, I will definitely get that information out to everybody. I mentioned earlier the fall regional conferences. So we are November 13th. So the ones that have not occurred yet is Niagara Falls. I guess 2 are going to kick off this weekend. One in Tampa Bay, Florida. One for me, up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and then the others have already passed. So these happen every year. The locations rotate every year. These are great opportunities to get an introduction into what NSBE Jr. and NSBE is all about. And of course, the grand finale will be the 46th annual convention. That will be March 25th to the 29th, 2020, and that will be in San Antonio, Texas. Here's some contacts. That is my phone number and email address, Tony Harrison, Brother Marlon Ridley, also the Alexandria Fairfax, Virginia Alumni Chapter. That is his email address. If you want to volunteer, there's a link. I have to check that link, make sure it's still active, or you can just send me an email or a phone call to be a volunteer. So for the Kappa League and Guide Right advisors that are on the line tonight, we're asking that each province enroll a minimum of 100 students. As I mentioned, $5 a year is probably the best $5 investment you can make in a student. Not only do they become a member, they get a magazine of their choice of what they're looking at each month. And we're looking for some brothers to champion the cause of NSBE Jr. in their province. So please submit your name by December the 1st. So I know we'll have questions that'll come up, but again, I just want to mention, since my questions pane disappeared on me, if you use the chat window, I will see any questions that you have. And so I'm going to keep moving forward, and we'll open up the phone lines at the end of the presentation. Okay, these are the webinar links that I talked about. You can see the YouTube Blacks at Microsoft. You can see the code.org. You can see the NSBE Jr. presentation, and you also will see the Cyber Security Awareness Month presentation webinar that we recorded as well. Here are a few photos of some of the STEM activities going on around the country. You can see up in the top left-hand corner, the Alexandria Fairfax, Virginia Alumni Chapter at one of the Microsoft stores in Pentagon City. In the top right-hand corner, you can see the Las Colinas location of the Microsoft store down in Texas. In the middle, you will see a police officer that was taking part in a program by Brother Michael Edwards that he does STEM law, which this one was at Virginia Commonwealth University, where the students are taken through a 4-week weekend program that talks about how you analyze a crime scene, what type of science is involved in that, and you can see all of that activity going on. It was a great program. Down in the lower left-hand corner, you can see, I believe that's the College Park Sandy Springs chapter out at NASA on the NSBE program. And then as you see, we stretch all across the country out there. You'll see Brother Lee at San Fernando, Santa Clarita alumni chapter as well. So that is the end of the slideshow. But what I do want to do is minimize some of this, and I want to try to just show you a few things. I just want to make sure you can still see my screen, and I'm going to try to go ahead and unmute, see how that goes. Okay, there's the driver. All right, let's see. Let's try this again. Okay, that's not working. All right, looks like we're gonna try one at a time. So what I want to do is go through some of the things we have online here. This is the Kappa STEM Facebook group. This is a member group. This one's not dedicated to the parents, but for the brothers that are on the line, you can see this group was established several years ago. We've got about approaching 400 members, but if you go down, you will see some of the videos that we created this week for Cyber Career Week. There's a plethora of opportunities that brothers all around the country contribute. There's a free cybersecurity boot camp coming up in Montgomery College in Maryland. Here's a program that went in Halloween. It was a fundraiser. This one was in Michigan. I know this is a little bit slow, but this is one of our Lego robotics teams, and they're preparing for a competition in Richmond in about 2 days, and they practice every Sunday. This is one of the, I think this is Atlanta. We had a program with National Society of Black Engineers a couple days ago. So not to go back through 4 years worth of slides. Oh, and here's Brother Campbell, his video. Let me see if I can, it's commercial down in Memphis. So again, this is a resource for brothers to share with their parents. These are some of the videos we did, and a lot of free webinars that are out there. There's things for people securing their businesses, just a plethora of information. So that is the Kappa STEM Facebook group. As I mentioned earlier, we've got the webinars that we recorded. There's the one for National Cybersecurity Awareness Month that's out on YouTube. One of the things you probably heard about, if you haven't heard about, is what we call Kappa League TV. So we've got a Kappa League TV channel in the Eastern Province. You can see these webinars that we did over the years. There's one for Blacks at Microsoft. There's a Computer Science for All with code.org. Computer Science for All was an initiative from President Obama a few years ago. And then this is all the programs and activities of the NSBE Jr pre-college initiative right there. And let's see how these things work out. And you can also see some of the competition of the students that are doing their Lego robotics. So this is another resource. If you go out and check out all of the Kappa League TV sites, I'm sure the other chapters have many activities as well, but I try to keep track of all the STEM activities that are going on. So that is out there on our Kappa League TV YouTube site. Also in the chat area, if you look up, I put a link to a cybersecurity supply and demand map. So this is a good way to see what's going on, what opportunities are available in your state. If somebody will put in the chat window what state they're in, we can quickly take a look and see what we have out there available for you. So I'll take the first one I see in the chat window, and I'll come back over to that. And this is also a cybersecurity career pathway. So these are kind of the skills. If you're into networking, you can see, let me click on it so it stays. These are some of the careers, mid-level, advanced level. I'm trying to see if I get any requests there. All right, so I'm gonna go back and I'm just gonna use on this interactive map the state of Virginia. And scroll down here. The supply of cybersecurity workers listed is very low. There's currently about 34,000 job openings. The geographic concentration is very high, and these are the titles of the jobs that they're out there looking for. And there's just a lot of information that you can share with your students, particularly those who not quite sure what they want to major in when they get to college. We'll be glad to share as much information as possible. So what else do we have here? All right, I think I went through this one with you already. This is the Microsoft Stores store locator. All right, and then the one other screen I want to show you is the NSBE Connect. So when you decide you want to enroll your student in NSBE Jr, this is kind of the front end piece of what you need to do. But I would definitely recommend to go through that webinar that we have listed, and it'll really break down everything. It'll go through all the screens and the registration, which I've also kind of dug out and made some highlights in different areas where you want to pay attention to when you sign up. Particularly, it's a good idea for any senior to enroll themselves in NSBE Jr, because there's a lot of scholarship information that's out there that you have to be a member to apply for. So again, I'm going to try to see if I can get back to where it was. Yeah, this video here, programs of
for a competition at annual convention, except
yeah, that is a full hour's worth of information that break down everything you want to know about NSBE Jr. So those were the things that I wanted to show you online. I'm going to attempt to unmute everybody and see if we can get a few more questions before we end this webinar. So we try this one more time. That's the mute. That's the unmute. This is not working. Okay. So I'll go through one at a time, since that's the way it's going to work. Let me start at the top. Okay. Okay. All right. So some are self-muted. Okay. All right. I've unmuted everybody who I can. If you want to unmute yourself, and you have a question, please, for myself or Brother Campbell, we're ready for you. Put that out of the way.
14th is a Saturday. A lot of holiday parties going on that weekend. That's all.
Dr. Scott Johnson. Okay. Do we have any questions?
Hello, this is Tracy Boyd. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you so much for presenting. It's really a lot of great information. I was curious about the Microsoft, I guess, Saturday classes. You mentioned that the 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 JKL members, I guess, could go to the Saturday classes, but I guess is that what's considered a scheduled field trip, or could parents just take their children to the Microsoft store if they see an event there?
Oh, absolutely. You can partner with one of the our guide right chapters, or you can simply go in onto the website. My recommendation would be to contact your local store and see what dates they have available.
Mhm.
What's you know what city you're in?
Yes,
Or sh-
Atlanta.
oh, you're in Atlanta. Okay. So if we, I don't know if you can you still see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So let's take a look. So this is an example of you can go in and filter like this is K through 12. So this is kind of what they have coming up. This so Saturday they've got a coding with football, and then Tuesday they got some things during the day. A lot of OneNote classes. Uh, a lot. It looks like this location does a lot on Tuesdays and Saturdays.
Okay, and it looks like they're specifying if it's for more so for high school type classes versus middle school, maybe.
Right. So my
Okay.
recommendation is just give the store a call, and they'll
Hmm.
they'll be glad to tell you lot more information that of what they're really looking for or what they're offering. So and trying to see where the other one was. Perimeter. I don't know which one is closest to you. Perimeter Mall, but
They're about the same.
yeah.
Okay, and it looks like you said annually there is a Microsoft I guess day for the high school students to go and get some additional classes or training at their Atlanta or Alpharetta location.
Yeah, so that it depends. It kind of changes each year, but if I let me see if I can find that. Let me pull that slide back up so I can see what cities that we had in the past. Okay. So yeah, so I'm not exactly sure where in Atlanta, but it's I'm gonna work and try to see if I can get the schedule for 2020 and see what cities. And usually there's a limited amount, but usually from what I've seen, there's probably about 100 or so students that they'll take in, and they divide them up into groups. So
Hmm.
we'll try to if you give me your email address, I'll make sure I send it out to you. Or is your son in one of the guide right programs with one of the Atlanta chapters?
Yes, he is. But he's middle school age. So it looks like that's more of a high school type program. So it's something maybe to look forward to in the future if they still continue it.
Okay.
But yes, I was just curious. You know, I lived here all my life and had never heard that they had a minority student day. So just curious about the resources
Okay.
available.
Yeah, they're recommended 9 to 11. And again, a lot of times you want to contact them directly because sometimes they may have different requirements. They may allow a middle schooler at sometimes.
Hmm.
So good to check. Oh, I do want to pull up one more thing before we. There's another opportunity for camps, and this one is all right. Let me see. This is Gen Cyber. These are camps that are sponsored by the National Security Agency and National Science Foundation. These are also free camps that
Hmm.
happen during the summer. So since you mentioned Georgia, Atlanta, let's take a look just to give you an idea. Um, okay, I'm having a problem with my alphabets tonight. So last year, Atlanta had 2 locations. One that went from June 10th to the 14th, and one that went through June 22nd to 29th. So let's take a look at this one and see where it was. This
So
was
those are in
Westview.
Augusta.
So you familiar with that school?
Well, it's in Augusta. Augusta's like, I want to say 2 hours away from Atlanta.
Oh, okay. So it's not really, really Atlanta then. Okay.
No, no, that's closer to South Carolina.
So this particular one, they were looking for 30 middle schoolers, um, grades 5 through 8, in on that program, and you can see over in the corner who they had, and
Hmm.
then go back one more and see where the other location was, and they change every year also. I think this one's also somewhere Augusta University. So,
But
again,
okay. And what was the website for that?
okay. So you want to go to gen-cyber.com.
Hmm? The lady that works for the company. That's what I'm going to do this.
Okay.
How is it?
All right. So, do we have any more questions out
I'm
there?
So it's kind of a refresher, I guess.
Then I'm gonna have to go back to mute again.
What are they talking about?
Colleges that serve computer engineering or science or anything computer. And
There we go. Okay. All right. Brother Campbell, do you have any closing remarks before we end here? I think I caught him sleeping. Oh, here we go. I'm in Virginia, so there's also a Gen Cyber camp at Norfolk State University. So, yeah, get a chance to go out here and take a look at these. North Carolina A&T's got a. This is definitely one if you're in this area. We talked about this, Brother Campbell, myself, about some of the technologies that the students may not be getting, not necessarily just in high school, but in college as well. But if you can get your student into a Linux boot camp, um, and this is being offered at North Carolina A&T, definitely look into that for sure.
Definitely, definitely. And so I just want to just thank everybody for taking the time to be a part of our webinar today.
Thank you.
All right, and I'll echo that same sentiment. So just also remember, will be recorded, and we'll get that out. So tomorrow we have our last webinar for the week in cybersecurity careers. We have, and I'll pull it up so you can see. Go back one page. Of course, I'm going to miss it. But we've got Dr. Corey Banks. He's a professor at Norfolk State University. He is associate professor in the School of Technology, Engineering, and Science. He is also a former board member on the Gates Millennium Scholarships. He can answer questions on that. He also is the NCAA representative for that university. So if you have a high school student that plans on participating in sports in college, he is an expert in eligibility and things of that nature, and he'll be able to answer questions on that as well. And he will be on tomorrow at 8 o'clock. So if you got an opportunity to join us again tomorrow, we'll be glad to have you. So if we don't have any more questions, again, on behalf of the Kellogg Foundation and the Kappa Alpha Psi Foundation, as well as the National Guide-Right Commission of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity. We want to thank you, wish you well for you and your students and your chapters. And if you have any questions for us, feel free to reach out. Don't forget the handouts available for all these presentations on the right-hand corner. And we hope to talk to you soon.